start for sport. Ferrari takes the #1 spot for almost all constructor records in F1. It's the team with the most world championships won, the most Grand Prix wins, most pole positions, and most race entries. The Nürburgring is the only F1 track to have hosted 3 different races. The German Grand Prix, European Grand Prix...
Welcome back to SFR for round number 4 here at the Belgian Grand Prix. My name is ILT Indigo and we've got all 20 drivers here, which is incredible indeed. And this was this historic track, one of the 4 tracks that's been introduced since 1950, since the Formula 1 Championship, including Monza, Spa, Monaco and Italy. The iconic venues indeed in the history of Formula 1 then. So we have got a sprint race, very interestingly. So our first sprint race this season, and what a place to do it in Belgium. Obviously we had a sprint race in the real life F1 too, so we'll see how it all turns out. I think it was wet in the sprint race, wasn't it? And it was Oscar Piastri who was leading ahead of Verstappen, but Verstappen took it off him and claimed victory that day, with I think Pierre Gasly finishing in P3. But it was a good race for Oscar Piastri indeed. They got taken out in the actual feature race as well, but let's see what happens. It can be a very chaotic track sometimes here in Spa. Well, Bob McLaughlin, who's on the intermediate, so obviously not the tyre compound to be on unless it's raining right now and I can't see it. But talking about I can't see, I need to wear my glasses. So where are my glasses? I just had them. I wore them yesterday for commentary, so just bear with me. That wasn't a pull. I actually can't find my glasses, you know, so I'm gonna have to look around for them. So a bad start already. Do you know what? I tell myself every single day and week I do commentary to put my damn glasses on. For some reason I just don't do it. The glasses are there for a reason, especially when I do my driving tests and lessons as well, so I actually can't find them. I put them in here every single week, but I don't know where they are, so just excuse me for a moment. Yep, I found them. There we are then. So Glock says he's not confident about this track, so it's not good for news for him, and he has been struggling in the past few races as well, especially in Hungary when he's skidded over the curb at turn number 4. So yeah, unfortunately for Glock, he's got some monumental pace it seems, but he just can't seem to hook it together, and that's his biggest issue so far here in SFR, because we know he's got some great outstanding pace, but he just misses out due to penalties or being impatient, and that's where you have to be. You've got to be very consistent and very patient. Well, not patient, but you know what I mean, keep it composed and keep calm as well in high speed situations. And here is Hazara, makes his return, the ETA Hazara, the only Norwegian driver who is not under OWR, I think I could guess that correctly, unless Langfell, TNR Langfell, who's joined as a full-time driver. So congrats Langfell and Hazara, Langfell, and probably a few more in here I've raced against years ago, so I know what their pace is like. Here's Hazara coming around the final corner. We're not watching Glock on purpose, of course. He's in the pit lane, so it doesn't matter. But on board with Hazara as he heads down into turn 1. And already, Glock has retired, but there's been a 5-place grid penalty between Rogue Smithy and Atlas. Not a good sign at all. So they're probably down at the 3rd sector, waiting to go for their flying laps as we head through Eau Rouge and Radio. Should be flat out in these high-speed corners, Formula 1 model era, and we're coming onto the Kemmel Straight now. DRS is enabled, and this is where we'll see the most overtaken action, and probably a big DRS trade to go with it as well as we head down into turn number 5, 6 and 7. Thread the needle through here. You want to take all the curves you can on the entry as well. Turn 7, try not to go too out wide through there. It's very easy to lose the car as we head downhill into a barge there. Look at that, very smooth as well. Use the rear brakes, well, use the brakes to rotate the car as well on the rear, and he takes a lot of curb. He takes a lot of well, carrying a lot of speed into No Name as well as we head through Pouan. Let's see how he takes this. I don't know if he lifted off or not, so high speed indeed. I think in the Mercedes car back in 2020 they took it through high speed as well. Incredible speed and commitment through these corners, especially in your first lap as well, because the track's still rubbing in. It's not gone through the evolution stage as well. Turn before Stavolo, he took a lot of curve on the entry. That's turn number 14. I thought it was about to say turn 14, but actually couldn't remember what the corner was called. It just don't really has a name, does it? So Stavolo does. And now we're coming through the famous corner of Blanchimont as well, and Glock. Let's see what he says in the chat. Glock. Are you in here in the chat, mate? Let me load it up. Qualifying ban makes this sprint more interesting, I guess. So yeah, Glock has got a qualifying ban, and he'll be in the commentary box with me or in the comment section. So the first lap times are 40.9, and I've seen someone in EML do a 39.9. So I think that's a good lap time, you know, because EML's high speed, let's have a think, shall we? Very skilled drivers indeed, top tier drivers of the best, and Hazara's only a second off that as all the drivers slotted to their positions. JDM goes into P4, he qualified P9 at the Belgian Grand Prix last season. Langval into P4, now Samu replaces him, he goes into P4, Mackett in P3 with Zenum showing some decent pace, but they're all a second away from the best lap time from Hazara, so Hazara has shown some blistering pace already at the start of qualifying. Ramavad slots into P2 here at Belgium, and he qualified quite high as well back in the Belgian Grand Prix last season. Harry Kane goes into P2, finished P3 on the podium last season here in Belgium too, so he's got a good record around here at Spa. Like, can he keep it up, or can he convert it into a race? But Harry Kane hasn't got a race win this season yet, so that's very interesting. Here's his teammate Alex Haug in the second Red Bull as he makes his way out of a barge into no name then, but I don't think he's on a lap time, is he? I think he's just on a lap time, and he might be on a push or cool down lap, I'm not quite sure. So his first lap he must have validated or something. Here's Martin in the Mercedes then. Quite a few drivers haven't set a lap time just yet due to validations or mistakes, but we've still got plenty of the session to go. But Glock, the good thing is though, you have the sprint race to get back all the positions, because the sprint race can advantage or disadvantage anyone, because the guys at the front won't take as many risks at the sprint race because they can fall down the order and potentially start last in the feature race as well. So I guess the upper hand you have is that you've got a lot to gain at the sprint race. Make as many positions as you can during the feature or during the sprint to get as high in the feature race itself. And plus safety cars can be a big factor around here too, so starting last here in qualifying can make it up during the sprint and try and get a good result for the feature. As we watch Martin make his way out of no name into P1, then we see a lot of drivers use the outside curb to turn in, try and get a wider angle through there, and I think he took a flat out too going to P1 as we make our way now into the chicane. I actually forgot what the chicane's called, you know. I've said it plenty of times during commentary, but you know, my memory's gone bad now. But I say a bad word there. Into turn 14 and 15 we go, or turn 13 and 14, 13.6 in the middle sector, and we'll see how it progresses throughout the entire lap time. But I need to know what the chicane is called because it does have a name, and I've said it plenty of times before. I remember saying it, but I actually don't remember, so let me go find that out because it'll bug me throughout the whole session if I don't get it right. It is called, let's have a look, I just did have the details up, the campus chicane. I thought it had a name, but it doesn't. It does have a name, but I've actually forgot it, you know. It's not campus, well it is according to Google Maps, and Martin goes into P3, up into P3, sorry. Great lap time from the Norwegian driver in the Aston Martin. He's shown some decent pace last season, but it's been a bit off this season, has Beremi, although he did qualify, did score a decent result back in Austria at P4. Currently in the top 3 as Mackett, our race winner in Austria, is in P7. Looks like Mackett is going for multiple runs on a set of soft compound tyres though, so you're going to be very careful how many tyres you use, because obviously the feature race and the sprint race coming up, I think you're going to save a set or two. So campus chicane it says, I don't remember saying that. Fania chicane, there we go, I knew I'd get it right sometime. It's the Fania chicane. And now we're coming through turn number 13, I think, on board with Mackett, but he does a validate, and it was a 10th down in middle sector anyway, so that won't be an improvement. I know Samid, last season qualified high, he's going for his first lap time in the Alpine, so can he continue his good progress last season to convert it this season? He qualified P3, I think, at last season. In qualifying, Ramavaj finished second, or qualified second, so Ramavaj and Samid have got some history around this track, but in the race, I think Ramavaj spun at the bus stop chicane, and they both finished P4 and P5 respectively. And now here comes Samid through turn 5, turn 6 and turn 7. The back end just wants to step out into the calm, and the exit too. That is a very difficult corner. You've got to get a throttle immediately as soon as you exit the corner, as you come down through the Ravage into no name we go then. I think the reference there is the black box. There's not really a real reference through there, so you've got to use your muscle memory to try and remember what the reference is. And now we're making our way through P1, and we saw Antonio Giovinazzi crash there back in 2019, and now we're coming through the Fania chicane. First part of it can be very difficult, and the second part can be difficult too on the exit. Very easy to validate through there, and easy to validate through here too. It's a 13.3. We saw Mackett do a 13.9, and that put him to P7. So could Samid be on course for a decent lap time, I wonder, in the Alpine, as he makes his way now into Blodgem on about 200 mile an hour corner, I think, through there, about 190. And now we're making our way into the bus stop chicane, braking at the 100 metre board. It's very important to scrub off all the speed. And now into the heavy braking zone we go, out of it, very important to get traction. You can see the back end wants to step out there. He crosses the line, he goes into P2. And the deficit is about 5 tenths between himself and Hazara. So all these drivers have still got to find a lap time to beat Hazara, as Hazara is very comfortable at the front so far, currently on an outlap. But here's Laser, our championship leader, who has invalidated already on his in the first sector. So yeah, let's see what he does for the remaining of the lap. Here's MDJ coming through the Bandy chicane, and brake and turn at the 50 metre board, carrying the minimum speed. Use the throttle to rotate the car at 13.6, so that's 2 tenths slower than what Samid did in that middle sector. So MDJ needs to find a bit more time in that middle sector, does the Williams driver, as he makes his way now towards Blanchimont. He finished P3 back at the Hungarian Grand Prix after a dismal race in Spain, converted to a podium. And let's see what he does here in the Williams at Spa. Here he is, coming to the final 2 corners. Let's see what he does then. Short shifted to 3rd gear to reduce the wheel spin. He crosses the line now at 41.6 for the Williams, and nobody is able to challenge Hazara. Quite a big distance between all the guys in qualifying, some in the 41s, 42s and 43s then, so we've got a large margin around this track. And here is AJ in the Haas, but unfortunately for him, he has invalidated. So, go back on board with Hazara as he makes his way now towards the end of the first sector. The clouds are gathering in. He's a few hundreds down. Look at him riding the curb. And look at that. Change of direction. Very quick change of direction in the mid-speed corners. And now we're making our way downhill into Rivage. Look at the way he takes as well. Not a sign of a lock-up into that corner either. And he takes these corners very nicely. Quick change of direction, carrying the speed when he needs to. Rotates the car very nicely indeed. Looks like, oh, it's raining, ladies and gentlemen. So this is your last chance of setting a decent lap time. So whoever's in the pit lane needs to get out there. Laser Lord in P16. He could be under huge pressure, and this could be a big shot to qualify. The Zeno qualifies in 6th place behind his teammate Bear Remy. This is to be a big shocker, and Hazara almost invalidated. Look at that, 900s up in the middle sector despite struggling out of turn 13 there. But will he improve in his lap time? With this rain increasing now on the circuit, will it make things a little bit difficult in this qualifying session? We'll see, but qualifying will be ending prematurely. There's a Ferrari in the way. Hopefully it doesn't give a distraction, which it does, because he outbrakes himself and in the pit lane. And I don't know if that was due to weather or the car ahead of him distracted himself, but I think qualifying is done and dusted then. I don't think anybody out there can improve. Bear Remy is on a lap time in the Aston Martin, so let's see. No, he's not. He's backed off. He doesn't believe that he could go faster. Is anybody out there on a flying lap? Ramavage? Yeah, it does look a bit slippery for the soft compound tyres. Look at that, nice save at the top of the hill for Ramavage. But I think qualifying then has ended. Laser's on an outlap, but do you know what? Can Laser Lord beat the 43s and 42s? Maybe a 42 is possible. I'm not quite sure in these conditions. It does look a bit wetter. And Rogue Smithy's P19 too. Rogue Smithy didn't have a good qualifying last season in Belgium, and this season proved to be as well. Here he is then. What can Laser do as we see drivers retiring in the pit lane? So everybody should be secured, sorry, but I'm not quite sure about the guys who are in the 43s. Maybe Laser could beat that, but I don't think he can now because it looks treacherous out there. So I think it's intermediate time. So a big shot in qualifying. Our main contenders, I dare say, which are Laser and Glock, P19 and P20. We know Glock's got a qualifying ban, but Laser, that's a big shock for him in P19. There's a lot of work to do as DRS is disabled, so indicating that it's too wet, and everybody will be in the pit lane to retire. And Glock says aiming for the top 10 really, and then a podium for the main race, because the win is way off with Hazara racing. Yeah, I agree. Hazara is a top racer. He's a top skilled driver. I've known him for a long time. I've raced with him. I was quicker than him at one point, but he became quicker than me. He's on a controller too, I believe, so he is rapid. Absolutely rapid too. And Bear Remy's retired, so I expect everybody in the pit lane. But does Laser believe could beat a 44? I think 44 could be realistic. Let's see the end of the first set to what he could do. A 31.9. That's about 2 seconds away already from the best lap time. but I think qualifying is done and dusted now. But lazy chances is P17. Ah, Sammy just shocking anyway, mate. You're P2, what are you doing, mate? Oh, by the way, Sammy, don't spin again. It took me a while to figure out who you were, that I read your last name. How about Sammy, focus on the race, mate. And try not to crash this time. Yeah, I don't think a 44 is possible anymore. I think it's going to be a 50 for lasers, so I think that's it. I'll be back with you very shortly before the sprint race starts, and it's Hazara who's on pole by 5/10. I haven't seen a huge gap that like for a long time here in SFR.
And a special shout out to our VIP guests, Lars Hammer and Arthur Jackman, affectionately known as the Jackhammer. Sebastian Vettel holds the F1 record for the shortest time elapsed before picking up a penalty. He was caught speeding in the pit lane in practice for the 2006 Turkish Grand Prix, almost immediately after he exited the garage, just 9 seconds into his F1 career.
Last season's race, it was Laser who won the Belgian Grand Prix and he took pole, but what a massive contrast to his qualifying session this season. MDJ finished in P2, currently P3 here, as Langfell and Laser needs to retire so we can get straight to it. Sammy finished in 4th, Ramovage in 5th, and Overwatch, who did race with us, is 6th, and Glock finished in 7th place, Burmeister 8th, Wesker 9th, and it's your boy Alfie in P10, with Mackie just missing out the points there. But here it is then, Hazara's on pole by 5/10 ahead of MDJ, Harry Kane's 4th, with Bear Emmy in 5th. Xenom, great qualifying for him again, looking good this season is Xenom. And Martin in P7, Ramovage in 8th, Langfell 9th, Mackie 10th, JDM in 11th place ahead of Samu. Tycoon in P13, Atlas P19 it seems, due to a 5-place grid penalty. Emails is 15th ahead of Alex Haug, TNR AJ 17th, Rogue Smithy starting 23rd with a 5-place grid penalty, Laser 19th, and Glock will be starting last. Or not, because of the penalty from Rogue Smithy.
a given that the drivers on the grid today were kart racing as children, so they could enter the sport with as much experience as possible. It hasn't always been like that though. In the 1950s, the average age of the drivers was 39, with 3 over the age of 50. F1's distinctive sound throughout the decades is in part due to the high revving engines it produced. F1 engines joined the V8 era in the mid-2000s, for example, could reach 19,000 RPM. In comparison, a typical road car won't exceed around 6,000 RPM. I'm not superstitious, but in the long and fruitful history of F1, no one with the surname Hill has ever failed in winning a world title. For example, Graham Hill, Damon Hill and Phil Hill are all previous world championship winners. Packed grandstands here today with thousands in attendance, hoping to see their favourite drivers battle it out on track. One of the longest broadcasted races was also one of the shortest. 2021 Belgian Grand Prix lasted only 3
Hello, mate.
Hello.
So ETA Hazara has joined the party, and nice to race with you. Nice to have you to race with us, mate.
Yeah, my pleasure. Always fun to race here in S.
There we go, much better. My portio audio towards non-porty, so I couldn't really hear you. But I can hear you now. But yeah, you returned to SFR. I remember last season you were racing at Belgium as well, but not in SFR. You were taking part in esports events, so you've already got experience behind you. What it's like to race in Belgium, and what's your predictions here for you?
I like the track. It's not the best for me, but I enjoy driving it at least. So hopefully I can at least win one of the races, either the sprint or the main race. But I didn't practice before this today, but I did a race here in another league on Friday, so I know the track pretty well. And yeah, if you want to know, I can reveal that there will be some rain in the sprint. Probably spice things up. So I'm excited for that, first of all, and then the main race will be fun as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that as well, but the rain impacted the circuit when you were on your lap as well, so you couldn't really improve on your flying lap. You were a few hundreds up in the middle sector, but you made a mistake at the bus stop chicane. But however, you took pole by 5 tenths as well, so you're confident for this race?
Yeah, I'm confident. I mean, you have to be if you want to do well, but I think the first lap in quali was alright, but then I was up 2 tenths. But then when I was coming up to Puhan, the fast left-hander, the rain arrived, so I lost those 2 tenths, but I was still even on my delta coming into the bus stop, but I went a bit deep because it was raining a lot at that point, so couldn't improve, but it was more than enough, luckily. So yeah.
Fair enough, mate. And where have you been for the past few weeks? Have you been taking part in esports events?
Not really. I've been working, and yeah, hasn't really. And also the grid has been pretty full. Like there wasn't a lot of absences, and I'm a reserve, so obviously I need absences to be able to race. But now, today I saw there was a seat available, so I decided to jump in.
Are you on a pad or wheel, mate?
Yeah, I'm on a pad.
Damn, how do you find such good pace on a pad as well? Because I'm a pad player like you, but the way you take the corners, the way you could just drive into corners like that at fast speed without losing the back end is just incredible as well. So, how do you practice and prepare? Do you? I take you have a spreadsheet of setups in your esports group, don't you? Do you tweak them to your affection? Because mostly people are wheel these days.
Yeah, I mean, I've raced on pad like the last, F1 games since like F1 2010, and also like other racing games since I was a kid. So I've probably been racing for almost 20 years, so that obviously helps. But yeah, I think, I mean, you tell me that I'm fast on a pad, but then I see other guys who are even faster, you know. There's always someone who's faster than you, so I think I still have a better level to reach if I want to. So, yeah.
And also with the practice sessions, do you focus more on race pace as well? Because I know us pad players can suffer more in race pace because the tyre temperatures can be much higher. But one thing I do struggle in is like consistency, because I don't I'm good in qualifying, but in the race I do tend to drop off because the DRS train does really help. But once I'm alone and trying to push, I just miss the apex or slide through corners as well. So what's the biggest issue there? Like, how do you prevent that from happening? Because even though my tyre pressures are low, there's still the tyre temperatures are quite high. So how do you manage that during a race?
Yeah, I mean, there are some tricks you can do, like with differentials and stuff. I can tell you off stream, but I mean, there is to be honest, I'm better in race than I am in qualifying. I don't know why, but it's just something that I just have a more natural feel in the race, because I don't think I suffer from the pressure. I just think my driving is not geared towards qualifying for some reason. I'm not even sure why, but that's just how it is. And yeah, just try to be smooth, not try to push as hard as you can all the time. Try to stay a bit under the limit, I think is a good tip.
And how do you manage your EOS? Well, how do you know when to use it? Because you're stuck in that big DRS train, and there's a lot of people conserving their battery as well, ready for the last lap attack or something like that. So how do you manage your EOS, even when you're alone? Because EOS management is quite hard, but I've seen a lot of people who are quite sufficient at it. I don't know how, because yeah, they just, even though they're running a high downforce setup, like some of them I noticed back in Monza, they managed to save a lot of EOS. So how do you know when and where to use it?
To be honest, I try to limit it. If I get attacked, I will use a bit, and if I'm not going to overtake, and if I'm not getting attacked, I'm not going to use any EOS. So I'm just not going to even touch it. So that's the best way of saving. Obviously, on some tracks you gain a bit ERS as you're driving, and then on others you lose a bit more. But like on tracks like Qatar, you don't regain battery, so you have to be really careful if you use it or not. Other tracks you can use quite a bit, and then you'll get it back in a few laps. But yeah, it's just be smart. Just don't use unless you really have to.
Be really careful in the first and second lap as well, because obviously the DRS don't happen till the third lap. So, what's your tactic heading to a race when you're under pressure? Do you fight hard with your rivals in the first opening lap or two, then try and settle into a rhythm and just try and follow the rest of them in that DRS train, or are you more cautious approaching the first or second lap and second lap?
Try to be as cautious as possible, because obviously the race isn't won on lap 1, but it can be lost on lap 1, so you try to just stay safe, I guess, and try to read the situations, because you can't be careful like all the time. If you're careful all the time, people are gonna take advantage of it. So you have to be like clever about it. You have to adapt to the situation. If there is a possibility to make an overtake, you have to go for it. But obviously I will never take like unnecessary risk very early in the race. Try not to do that.
Also, there's a problem with engine overheating too, because I've started to do more league racing. I didn't realise how bad the engine overheating was too. So even when pulling out the slipstream, it doesn't even go down the temps either. So that limits your speed as well down the straight. But when you're stuck in that DRS train, how do you know where to go for it? Because it's a big DRS train, and first and third are in front of you and behind you, and you've got to watch out for third place as well. So how do you cope under pressure? Do you know when to plan your attacks as well, going into the final stages of a race?
Yeah, I think like on this track, it's known for DRS games late in the race. I think sometimes you want to be P2 on the last lap out of turn 1. And yeah, just try to play it smart. I mean, there are very few times you can actually gap a field, especially if you're driving against like top tier competition. So you just have to be very patient. Like 22 laps is a lot of laps, and you just have to often just stay in the train. Maybe you can push a few times during a race, but for the most part you just have to save and stay where you are and hope someone makes a mistake, but usually it doesn't happen. So I don't know, you just have to have a feel for it. To be honest, I can't like say how to use it. And yeah, a race is starting in 20 seconds, so I think I should leave now, right?
It's nice of you to join a party like in Brazil, mate. It's always nice talking to you once in a while. Thank you very much, mate.
No, thank you. Good luck commentating the race.
It'll be fun. Good luck in the race, mate.
Thanks.
So the formation lap is underway, and let's have a look at the tyre allocations then, as Zara kindly joins me in the party to explain how he progresses through a race and what's his thoughts and what's his game plan. So Hazara is on actually the soft compound tyres. This is a brand new lobby, by the way, so everybody should have a brand new set of soft compound tyres. Shouldn't be a problem. And you can see there from P2 to P6 on the meds, behind are the 3 soft runners with Mackie and P10 on the softs, and also there's only 1 hard runner in an 8-lap race. So that is very interesting indeed on the hards. And look at that Hazara with his purple helmet, a bit like my helmet as well. He likes to go for the nice colours, and obviously my name is Indigo, so that's the colour I like that Hazara has. And let's see how this race unfolds there. Can Hazara, people who started the medium compound tyres, do they believe that the soft compound tyres will drop off towards the end? Or they sacrifice the set of softs? Because I actually don't know how the sprint and feature race goes, by the way. I don't know how many tyres you have during a feature and sprint, and how many sets you have available to you. Maybe they're saving a set of softs later on in the race, but that shouldn't be a problem either. I'm surprised many people have gone for the medium compound tyres and not the softs, because they could definitely go towards the end of the Grand Prix as well. What about Rogue Smithy, Laser, Glock? What can they do for the back of the field? I know Rogue Smithy generally struggles around here in Belgium. Sometimes he can have a good race and sometimes he can have a really bad race like here, maybe in Belgium. But Laser is in the championship fight. He's currently the championship leader in P1. So let's have a look. The gap is about 50 points between himself and Glock. So actually the top two in the championship are started on the back row together. So Glock will be looking to follow Laser through the field if he can. Mackie's in P3 in the championship, and the gap between himself and MDJ is about 5 points. So MDJ is in a better position in comparison to Mackie, who's in P10. So try to take P3 away. And Ramavaj, who won last week in Hungary, is on the same points of MDJ. He's currently started down in P8. Had a good qualifying back last season, but this season he started at 8th place. So what can he do? Finish 5th, I think, during the last season's race in Belgium. Obviously a safety car came out, I think, at lap 13, and that changed the whole trajectory of that race too, which put people on different tyres. We thought Laser was at a disadvantage because he went to the mediums, whereas other people were the soft compound tyres. So we thought that he'll be struggling with those soft runners around him, but actually he won the race. And what a race that was back in Belgium as well, with MDJ in there, with Hurricane P2 and P3. Overwatch got a 5-second time penalty too, as he dropped down into P6 in the end of the race, but he was leading it. But every single driver lining up for the formation lap, and we can get underway very shortly too for the 8-lap sprint race, and we'll see how things turn out. Hazara, he's actually not in his grid spot properly. I was about to say grid slot, but I replaced it for spot for some reason. But here we are then, ready for the race, for the sprint. Revving up the engine, 4 or 5 lights. I can't get a good camera angle, but here we are, away for the Belgian Grand Prix. Laser's dropped down to last already, so it might got bogged down, but Hazara, a great start already, unchallenged into turn 1, with Samid and MDJ going side by side, but Samid wins out of that battle. Now Hurricane is side by side with the Williams. Is he going to do a Mark Webber or Fernando Alonso in Eau Rouge Radio? No, because MDJ has the race in line, and he stays in P3, not worth going side by side, especially the first lap already. But you can see that Hazara putting pressure on. Actually, Sammy puts pressure on Hazara, who moves up into P1, taking the lead of the race. But that's not good news for Hazara, because he's on the soft compound tyres. So that power of the slipstream down the Camel Straight really helps Sammy to put him into P1. Martin versus Ramavaj, they're both on the soft compound tyres as we head down into Ravage. That's Bear Remy going wide into Ravage, giving Martin the place, and he moves himself up into P5 ahead of the Aston Martin. But so far, it looks like a clean lap. Look at Glock in P13, now putting pressure on the Alfa Romeo. Sammy is going to risk it up the inside into P1. Great move indeed from the Mercedes driver. As you can see there, the Mackie is sliding going into P1 there. As you can see, going down into the final chicane. Glock not risking the move down the inside. He's tried to learn from his mistakes in Hungary, but Samid has been overtaken by Hazara to go wheel to wheel into 13 and 14. Not really a conventional overtaking pace, but look at that. He got so close there. Now MDJ is looking to get in on the action too. Samid's still leading this race, and Harry Kane looking for interest. These four separated by about under 5 tenths as we head down into Blanchimont. Hazara retakes the lead of the race, but they might go 3 abreast into the bus stop chicane, and Hazara's lost 2 places. Now Samid and MDJ going side by side. It's the final corner we go. MDJ, who started in 4th place, is up into 1st at the end of the first lap. Great start from the Williams driver. As we end the first lap with Samid in P2, Hazara's dropped into P3. Not a good scenario whatsoever, especially on the soft compound tyres, looking to progress further in the race rather than going backwards. And Harry Kane finds himself side by side again, going into Eau Rouge Radio, but Martin's up to P4, so he's just overtaken Harry Kane and put that Mercedes into P4. And now he's putting pressure on Hazara. Hazara's losing pace here. I'm not quite sure where his pace has dissipated to. Has he got any front wing damage from the contact at turn 13? I'm not quite sure. He's demoted into P4. So something's gone wrong for the AlphaTauri driver on those soft compound tyres. He's dropped from 1st to 4th already, and he had a big qualifying gap. The gap was 5 tenths from P1 to P2. and he's really started to struggle here is Hazara. Maybe the soft compound tyres are probably overheating already, but you know the soft compound tyres can have a huge impact on tyre temperature as well. They can overheat very quickly, especially in the high speed corners as well, with a lot of energy and force going into them, especially at a corner like P1. As we head down the Vanya chicane too, it's the two medium runners leading this race unexpectedly, with MDJ1 in P1, but look at Hazara getting the speed out of the Vanya chicane but not able to go to the inside of the Mercedes driver. Maybe Hazara may be settling into a rhythm there. He might be running no assist, you know, because I think ETA drivers have to run no assist, so maybe he's just getting used to the braking zones and trying to figure out what's braking boards he has to use, etc. And Hurricane is all over the back of his fellow Norwegian driver. And let's see what happens down at the bus stop chicane. But as you can see, Bear Remy outbrakes himself, but still stays in P6 defended from Ramavaj Glock. Great first opening stint of this race. And the Alpine spun. That is Mackett who falls down the order, unfortunately, who's gone for a spin at the exit of the bus stop chicane. I don't know if he got a tap from the car behind or plainly lost it under traction. So DRS will be enabled then. And this is where the DRS train will start to happen. Can Hazara get himself back into the rhythm and groove? And now he's under pressure from Hurricane right behind him too. So Hurricane pulls to the right hand side, but we know Hazara has got the DRS too. Maybe better straight line speed than the Red Bull driver as he firmly closed the door. Langfeld is up to P8 ahead of JDM. Or is he? Yes he is, but they go side by side. But JDM has to conceal the place, and Glock looking for ways to get past too. This is a great opening lap from Glock as Martin up the inside or been overtaken by Hazara. And that was at Brussels. And Glock is ahead of JDM too, with Ramavaj ahead of Bear Remy. So plenty of action throughout the midfield, giving us some great entertainment and great battling to watch. And look at Glock's progress from P19 to P9. Or P20 to P9, sorry, because during qualifying someone had a fireplace grip penalty, so I thought he would start P19. So P20 to P9 in 3 laps. What a dream start from Glock. And how many positions can he gain from P9, I wonder. You get harder and harder as he progresses through the field. And also battery will be a problem because he's using a lot of EOS to try and get past these guys, whereas these guys have a lot in their disposal. As we enter the bus stop chicane now, let's see what happens down here. Hazara is still in P3, so he needs to find a way past this. He clashes the curb at the first part of the bus stop chicane, but gets away with it. You want to be really careful taking those curves as well, because they can be quite brutal as well, spinning the rear end of the car out. As we head down into La Source, plenty of action has happened in La Source in the opening races back in 2012 as well, where we saw Grosjean, Kobayashi, Maldonado, Hamilton and Alonso come into contact at turn 1, where Grosjean caused the crash and took about 4 drivers out of the race as well. And here's Hurricane overtaking Martin, and he goes back up into P4 ahead of the Mercedes driver. Martin's got some decent pace in that Mercedes tonight. Can he keep it up? As JDM is ahead of Glock. Oh, Glock has to go off the track. Come on, Glock, keep it nice and composed, mate. We've got plenty of opportunities, but JDM actually gives the place back. So what if JDM outbroke himself and forced Glock off the track? And Laser is up into P11 as well, so Laser's gained about 9 places or 8 after starting at P19. A dismal qualifier for Laser. Couldn't get it hooked up, but look at Hazara. So if Hazara's found his rhythm and groove, maybe getting the cobwebs out at the first few laps of the race, but now he starts to put pressure as he switches lines. He has to bail out the throttle, otherwise he would be pushed off the track at the exit of the Vanya chicane. So it looks like Hazara has found his rhythm now, but with these two fighting in slow speed corners will allow MDJ to pull away and build that 1 second gap of DRS over his rivals. We're only about 4 laps left to go in this sprint race before we get on to the feature race, and that should be a thriller. Obviously you don't want to risk a lot as well in the sprint race, because the guys at the front won't risk it too much, knowing that if they make contact with anything they'll start further down in the feature race as well, whereas the likes of Glock, Laserlaw, JDM Rogue Smithy, they started at the back of the field, so they can risk a lot and try and move up as many positions as they can, taking a big risk like Glock does, and he's up into P9. Next target is Langfell, who's currently 1.5 seconds away, and Langfell himself is in the battle with Beremi, followed by Removage in this DRS train. So actually the guys behind have caught up in this DRS train. Beremi is just out of the DRS train, but can he get himself back in it? And now Sam is under huge pressure. He does not have the DRS at the back of MDJ, and he'll put himself up into P2 ahead of the RP driver. Now, let's see how good those soft compound tyres are. I know it's silly to say 5 laps in on those soft compound tyres. Let's see if they've still got some good life for them left. We'll see if the pendulum swings toward the medium runners' way. Can the mediums be a better tyre towards the end of the Grand Prix? We see Ty Curd overtaking the Williams driver of Rogue Smithy, who started down in P18. Looks like Ty Curd is really struggling to turn in there. Looks like he's got a lot of understeer in that Haas. And now Rogue Smithy's trying to go around the outside. Can he do it? Yes, he can then. So what a great move for Rogue Smithy to put himself up into P13 with the 2 Haas's right behind. Ty Curd's really struggling in these corners here. So I wonder if he's got some, well, just plain understeer really. I don't think he's got any damage on that Haas, unless it's very light indeed. Here we are there, we've got yellow flags. That's an Aston Martin who's off the track. Zenum, who had a great qualifier back in the sprint, but unfortunately he's dropped 11 places. He's gone for a spin in the exit of Puon. And here comes Ramavage. This is going to be a great move up the inside. Yes, it is then. Side by side into Blanchimon as they continue their battle down into the bus stop chicane. Martin's the inside line and stays ahead. The Alfa Romeo had great speed and momentum coming out of Stavolo. Almost got Martin, but I think he will have Martin going down into the Lacombe with the power of the DRS. Hazara with 3 laps to go. Can he win this race? How much risk is he going to take? Will he settle for P2? I wonder. Because MDJ will fight this hard. He's the championship as MDJ, as Hazara's not. So really, Hazara hasn't got really nothing to lose. But MDJ has been a championship fight, and he knows his rivals like Glock and sorry, I'm trying to think now, Laser, who are disadvantaged further down the field. Ramavage is ahead of Martin, who puts himself up into P5. And where's Glock? Glock is actually not closing in on Langfell. He's going to watch out for JDM right behind him. It's Rogue Smithy. Here comes the other half of Ty Curd around the outside, but not able to do so. AJ swoops through and overtakes him. Oh, Samit's got a 3-second time penalty. That's going to demote him down the field to about 6th place, unfortunately for him. So, has cost himself a few positions headed into the feature race. He's going to push as hard as he can now to try and not lose too many places and be off P3. But Hazara, can he start a pole position like he did in the short qualifying? As we make our way now out of Stabilo, Hazara's still got some great pace on those soft compound tyres, so they're not fading away like I thought they'd be. And he's all over the back of the Williams driver. Then the Williams finds himself under pressure. Hazara has found his form after struggling in the first few laps of this Grand Prix. But Hazara does not go for it down the bus stop chicane. He'll wait for the DRS to try to overtake him. Like, what can MDJ do? Can he respond once Hazara overtakes him? Leader of this DRS train, not good, especially starting the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. Headed down into the source. Hazara will wait for his chances, trying over to MDJ going into the Kemmel Straight. You can see he's got a lot of EOS in his disposal. MDJ hasn't, so he'll be vulnerable down the straight. I wonder if MDJ will let Hazara through to try and overtake him on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Here comes Hazara with the DRS, but he actually wants to go around the outside. Or takes the racing line indeed. He had to switch positions as Hurricane has put himself into P3. And Martin and Beremi are fighting for P6 and P7. Here he is, and the Aston Martin going side by side once again. And we'll see who comes out top of this battle. Beremi having the outside line, and he moves himself up into P6 ahead of Martin. I wonder if a few people might be struggling on those soft compound tyres. Glock is starting to close in on this pair in the Mercedes. But I think it might be a bit too late now for Glock. He's currently 1.1 seconds away from Langfell. Laser in P10. These two trying to do damage limitation for the actual feature race to try and gain as many positions as they can for the feature. As we head now into Stavolo we go. Ferrari has spun going into Lacombe. As we exit Stavolo now, MDJ is quite low on the EOS, and look at Hazara, who's got double the amount of EOS than MDJ. So, will the ERS help Hazara on the last lap of the Grand Prix? Will it be enough to try and stay in front of the Williams as we head down towards the bus stop chicane as the Ferrari out there continues to struggle? Harry Kane and Samid are looking with interest too. Sammy's just focused on pulling that gap over Ramavad. It was 2.1, now it's 2.8, or 1.8, sorry. As we head on to the final lap of the Grand Prix then, who is going to be the winner, or who is going to take pole position heading into the feature? Will it be MDJ or will it be Hazara? MDJ is running low on ERS, but will the power of the DRS help him towards the end of Le Combe? I don't think he's close enough to make a move, especially with the ERS he has in the battery. Hazara's barely got any either. This could be enough for Hazara to stay in the lead of this Grand Prix. MDJ reached about 345 kilometers an hour, but it's not enough. Hazara's done a really good comeback drive, especially at the first lap when he got swamped by 3 cars. But ever since then, he's managed to find his form and regain momentum from P4 to P1 in 8 laps. Whereas the battle for P6 is still happening between Beremy, Martin and Langfeld too. It looks like Hazara will have this in the bag now, unless he makes mistakes of course, but he's flying so far. And MDJ is trying to get as many points as he can towards his championship rivals, the likes of Glock and JDM, sorry, not JDM, Laser. Hazara has pulled a second already on MDJ. Despite being on the soft compound tyres, I thought the mediums would have been better at this stage, but still finding some great pace out there on the soft compound tyres to build the gap over MDJ. He's coming towards Blanchimon, and now here he is at the bus stop chicane. Harry Kane is so close behind MDJ, but not close enough. Hazara will exit the final corner, and he'll take pole position for the feature race. He crossed the line to be in P1. MDJ P2 ahead of Harry Kane. And where will Sammy drop to? Probably P5. Look at this battle going on. 4 cars going together. And Martin's P6 ahead of Langfeld. Beremy in P8. Glock in P9. Laser ahead of his teammate of JDM. As we now head on for the 22 lap race for the feature. Let's hope it's good like it was here in the sprint. I'll be heading off to the toilet, so I'll be right back shortly. Welcome back. Apologies about the long delay. I think a driver has suffered with his wheel. I think it was Bear Remy, but he's back in the session now, so hopefully things are plain sailing from here. And here are the tyre strategies then. So, got Hazara on the hards, and MDJ has got the soft compound tyres. That's a very interesting strategy. I thought it was hards to mediums, but I think the tyre life is not too bad around here. We saw it back at the sprint race as well when Hazara took them 8 laps, and it looks very comfortable as well despite being on the older tyre. But we'll see how the strategy plays and goes. Bear Remy Glock on the soft compound tyres too with Alex Haug in P16. So we've got split strategy going on here with medium runners, hard runners and soft runners all being used. But in the end, which one will come on top? MDJ will have to overtake Hazara quickly and immediately, trying to pull that gap he needs to try and win this race if he wants to as well. So we'll see how it goes between those drivers on those different strategies. But as we make our way now towards the bus stop chicane to line up on the grid. DJ finished P2 here at the Belgian Grand Prix last season. Let's see if he can go better. I think it was Laser who won the Grand Prix last season, but he's got a lot of work to do from 10th on the field. And he also said he had full wind damage on the first lap too, so we couldn't really see his real pace or potential pace he has. So this could be interesting. The two championship rivals are starting next to each other. Glock and Laser on the 5th row together, with MDJ in a primitive position in P2 to try and boost his championship aspirations and gain some more points like he did in the sprint race. We'll see if Samu can also gain another top 10 finish like he did last race at the Hungarian Grand Prix. As we all line up on the field then for a 22 lap race around here in Spa. We'll see what happens. And the lights are away for the Belgian Grand Prix, so we expect MDJ to get a good launch off the start, which he does. And let's see if we try and tackle Hazara going down into turn 1, which he tries. But Hazara has the inside line and still takes the lead of the race. Bit of contact in the midfield. We can see a few people out of shape. Was that a Glock also in the melee? He's on the soft compound tyres. And there's that Laser too also down there. And my thing glitched, so I can't really see it. But up the top of the hill, MDJ pulls to the left hand side. It's going to be a drag race all the way down towards the Com. There's yellow flags down there. Look at the field. Split apart, and look at this, there may be a 4 abreast going down into Lacombe. Who's going to come out on top though? That's the question. Hurricane in P2 with Hazara in P, trying to slash it away from him. Around the outside he goes, still in P2 is Hazara. But look at the field, they're almost split apart too, as JDM gets a 5-second time penalty for cutting one corner. This has got absolutely chaotic there, but Bear Remy's up as a P4, Sammons in P5, and further down the field, here they all are, the rest of the field then, making their way through No Name. Something's got off down in the midfield there, but look at that, Rogue Smithy tried to force his way through. He needs to be a bit more patient than that, but he squeezes his way past the McLaren driver of JDM. It looks like he's struggling going into poo on there. And now the Mercedes of Glock is up into P10. And where is Laser? Laser is down into P14, so he's lost a few positions, has Laser Lord. Has he got damage again from the first lap contact? It got a bit messy down there at the first corner on the first lap. But we expect that around here in Belgium. So there's quite a big margin between him and Samu, as the timing graphics need to sort themselves out. It says 1/10 away, but Bear Remy's up into P3s, also on the soft compound tyres, so also looking to go forwards. Hurricane's dropped into P4, as MDJ will come across the line to lead the race on the second lap. Needs to pull away from the DRS of Hazara if he wants to try and extend his advantage on those soft compound tyres, which he is doing so far. And here's the rest of the field then, going down into turn 1. A big margin already from P6 downwards. As we make our way now through Eau Rouge and Radion. Is anybody close enough to make a move going into Lacombe? Almost went 4 abreast down there into Lacombe. Like it was back in 2018 when we saw Perez, Ocon, Hamilton and Vettel going side by side. I think Vettel took the lead ahead of Hamilton and Perez, and Ocon were 3rd and 4th. But as we settle down now into a rhythm, Glock is putting pressure on the Alpine and Mackie, who goes up the inside. Can Mackie try to hold it around the outside, which he can't do, and Glock is up to P8. And Samu, but I don't know what the gap is between Samu and Martin. About 4 or 5 seconds, I'm not quite sure, but he's quite far behind the rest of the field. So the time and graphics are wrong, unfortunately. As we can see Mackie going very wide, and he makes contact with Rose Pithy, who goes around the outside and claims P9. So a mistake there has cost him in the Alpine, and now he's under pressure from JDM right behind him. Laser's down in P14, so I'm not quite sure if he has got damage or not. But Hazara's pace is looking very promising, you know, down in P2, 1 second away from MDJ. So MDJ is not able to pull away as he wants to break that DRS. And Maki goes off the track there, trying to hold on to P10, but he's got JDM all around the outside now. Into the bus stop chicane we go, and he's almost spinning as well going down there too when he loses a place. Somebody's in the pit lane, that's Samu, who's in the pit lane. Let's see, is he going to change his wing? His wing looks like it's intact, but I'm not quite sure if he's suffered any more contact. Is that a drive-through penalty? I can't see his Alfa Romeo team coming out to serve any pit stop. Yeah, it is a drive-through penalty. So where did he get that from? I'm not quite sure. I didn't see any drive-through penalty that popped up on my screen. But unfortunately, Ramavaj is down there in P19 as well. So what a contrasting race from last season. He finished in P5, did Ramavaj last season. And AJ is ahead of Makit, who puts himself up into P10. I think Ramavaj also got a drive-through penalty too. So let's have a look what's happened. Samu got a drive-through and a 5-second time penalty. So something major must have gone on in the first lap. We did see a lot of contact down into turn 1 at La Source, and Smoke says, "Is that Glock?" I think I did say that, didn't I? At the first lap. But now MDJ is starting to pull away from Hazara. That's very crucial in this race, trying to build that gap over Hazara. And Beremi's trying to close in on Hazara. He's 1.9 seconds away. He's followed by Hurricane and Samir too. Samir picked up a penalty very early stages of the Grand Prix in the sprint, but has to make sure he doesn't do it again in the feature. Very crucial points for Samir, especially in P5 there too. He retired at the Hungarian Grand Prix, got wiped out unfortunately, but he's in a good spot in P5 right behind Hurricane, who's putting pressure on Beremi ahead of him, who's not able to close in on Hazara, who's on the hard compound tyres ahead of him. Hazara is just playing the long patient waiting game on those hard compound tyres. And MDJ hoping the soft compound tyres were able to pull away from Hazara and try and build a gap as big as he can, as big as he can get it to before the pit stops start happening too. Go through Eau Rouge and Radion, so let's see if anybody's close enough to make a move. As you can see, they're all in one big DRS train as JDM has overtaken his former teammate Rogue Smith. He puts himself up into P8 in the McLaren. Glock's further ahead, he's on the soft compound tyres, so the gap is about 3.1 then. I said 4 or 5 seconds, didn't I, a few laps ago when it didn't sort itself out. But the gap is I think it's a bit too big because the rest of the guys are in that DRS train. So I'm not quite sure if Glock, even on the soft compound tyres, is able to close things. Laser has overtaken Langfell. He's up into P12. Not been a good race so far for Laser. Got damage on the first lap of the sprint. And this is going to have complications as well to his championship. Because MDJ is currently leading this race. The man in P3 in the championship, or P4 actually. Because it's actually Maki who's in P3 in the championship. Glock's P2. As JDM picks up a 3-second time penalty early stages of this Grand Prix, and Hazara is starting to close the gap down slowly now between himself and MDJ. So bad news for MDJ, who wants to pull away in those soft compound tyres, but not able to build enough of a gap ahead of his rival. As Harry Kane has overtaken Beremi, he puts himself up into P3. Beremi's in a good spot as well, but he's also on those soft compound tyres. He's been overtaken by a hard runner, which is not good signs early stage of this race as well, because the softs who should be in good shape. But we know the tyres can drop off. We've got yellow flags down there in the bus stop chicane, so I wonder if anybody's gone for a spin. That's Maki, unfortunately, he's gone for a spin. Had his best result in about 3 or 4 years when he won at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And now Langfell and Laser having another scrap for P11 and P12. Looks like Laser stays ahead for the time being, but Langfell will have DRS on the Camel Straight to re-overtake him down into the Calm. And Samit's right behind Beremi too, so keep an eye on him. But Beremi also has that DRS ahead, and he won't be able to make an overtake going down into the Calm either. But Beremi's going to make sure he doesn't go out wide and making mistakes, allowing Samit to go through. You can see Samit taking different lines. Will he get a decent exit at the top of the Calm? And McLaren, what's happened to him? He's stationary on the straight. That's Laser. Laser's dropping down the order. Something major just to happen there. Did somebody sideswipe him or something like that? Was there a late defence move? He was close to Langfell. So Did Langfell make contact with him? I'm not quite sure, but that's a very odd place to be spinning out. Obviously he did spin, but somebody made contact with him for sure. Unless they both went right together and unfortunately spun. I'm not quite sure, but JDM's under huge pressure from Rogue Smithy and AJ right behind, fighting for P8. So there's been quite a big field spread already, especially at the first lap of the race. And Hazara is in the DRS range of MDJ then, so MDJ not able to keep him over a second, and now he's going to be under huge pressure. He won't be able to get himself out of the DRS range as we continue watching 8th, 9th and 10th scrap as Rogue Smithy now pulls the left hand side. These two have been scrapping quite a while now. Even when they were teammates they weren't together a lot, but now they're together, but not as teammates. One's the McLaren, one's in the Williams. As we head down the final two corners, Rogue Smithy looking to go up the inside. A very clean move indeed. Will he get the DRS? He did get a good exit, but here comes AJ. Might make it 3 abreast. As Rogue Smithy their compromised exit, which allowed JDM to stick with him. And he goes up the inside into turn 1. But keep an eye on Azara. Is he close enough to make a move? He will be for sure. Used a lot of EOS as well. And now let's see if he makes an overtake on MDJ. He goes to the right to defend, but Hazara will try and swoop around the outside. Can't quite do so on that occasion. Has to stay behind the Williams for the time being. But plenty of opportunities. He looks very good on those hard compound tyres. He's able to carry more speed than MDJ. His tyres are probably dropping off. MDJ, Rogue Smithy and JDM are fighting, but there's contact! And he makes contact again with the Haas. And he's fallen down into P11 then, so he's got a bit scruffy down there. Did he sustain any front wing damage? I'm going to be surprised if he didn't, because that was a big whack from the Haas. Rogue Smithy also made contact with JDM going down to no name 2, so those two have been shoving and pushing each other quite a lot, even in the sprint and feature race. Keep it nice and clean. And Martin's all over the back of Samad then. He's on the medium compound tyres, looking to do maybe mediums to softs or mediums to hards. I'm not quite sure really, but his tyres on the medium should be still in good shape, and he's putting pressure on the Scotsman ahead of him. He was also putting pressure on Beremy on those soft compound tyres, maybe start to struggle too at this stage of the race. Someone tell Road to calm down. Yeah, he needs to calm down a bit because he's been a bit too aggressive in the last few races as Rogue Smithy. That's why he's probably called Rogue as well, because he always makes silly mistakes, I dare say. And Hazara is all over the back of MDJ too, so putting pressure on the Williams ahead. I don't think MDJ can respond. He's way too close, and he might overtake him before the come, maybe halfway down the straight and the Kemmel. So let's have a look then. Decent run up the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion then. Hazara is in a good position to overtake. He should get this easily done. Yeah, there's no way that the MDJ can defend from Hazara. And he puts the AlphaTauri up into P1 and takes the lead of the race. And as we head down to the corner for Harry Kane, Beremy and Samid, those guys from P3 downwards has dropped a lot. The gap is 3.5 as well, so I wonder where they lost the pace. Lost a lot of time towards the top 2 as well, must be said, as AJ versus JDM, and AJ who puts himself up into P8. And Langfell's all over the back of the McLaren driver now, with Rogue Smith is still there down in P11. So Laser, not looking good for him so far. A big contrast to his race last season. He won the Belgian Grand Prix, he took pole and he won. Even on the medium compound tyres, whereas everybody else with the softs towards the later stage of the Grand Prix. As the safety car came out on lap 14, I think, everybody else went to the softs. He went to the mediums, and he actually won the race too. But this time around, he's in 14th place and started to struggle as well down to P14. I'm not quite sure if he has any damage. But what happened to him and Langfell? That's the big question. And Glock is running a lonely race in P7. He's 3 seconds away from Martin, but I don't think he's started to make inroads on the Mercedes ahead of him. I think he's just too far ahead. Also, the DRS is helping those guys stay out of his DRS range as well. Do you know what? I noticed something strange there on the last lap, because MDJ was 1.3 seconds away from Hazara. Then it went down to 6/10. So, did the AlphaTauri make a mistake? Has Zomovich spun? No, that's his teammate Samu who's gone for a spin, unfortunately. He spun at the exit of Blanchimon. But look at that, MDJ is so close but not able to make an overtake, as the Ferrari driver has retired, unfortunately. in the pit lane. So he's headed off here tonight, unfortunately, in Belgium. It is a difficult track. But MDJ looks like he was starting to lose pace. He actually dropped out to 1.3 seconds. But I think Hazara made a slight mistake somewhere along the circuit on the last lap, which allowed MDJ to be back in his DRS range. And JDM, Langfell and AJ are still going at it for P8 in the midfield, the higher end in the midfield. Rogue Smithy is still there in P11 as well, so it looks like the damage hasn't slowed his pace down. I don't think he's got any damage, he might have escaped, you know. Very lucky indeed. That's Beremy. Oh, laser soft. Oh, JDM, he's almost in the wall. That was so close there. He was off the wall. Looks like he was skated towards the wall. He's bouncing over the bumps there. And looks like he was headed towards the wall. But that was a very lucky escape indeed. I just look down, I look up and I see a McLaren off the track. Harty Malcolm in there for JDM, almost in the wall. Laser is ahead of Alex Howe, but Samit side by side with Beremy. Oh! I think he actually tapped him going into the penultimate corner. Now Martin's trying to look for a way through. So it looks like there was contact between Beremy and Samid. I think Samid sideswiped him, not on purpose obviously, but heading in his direction into the braking zone, and therefore Beremy had to, well... Oh, look at that, the gap's gone from 3 seconds to 1.8 now between those guys ahead. So these three making contact, or those two making contact, has allowed Glock to get even closer. And what about MDJ? He hasn't taken the lead of the race yet. He's still quite low on that ERS, you know, so... oh, look at this, Beremy then fighting back on Samid. Oh, that was so close to being wiped out there. We've seen plenty of people who try to move like that and get wiped out with the nose just on the rear end there. But luckily for him, he did not get taken out in the process. Lap 9 out of 22, so this has been a, well, the race has flown by so far. We've still got plenty of laps left to go in this race. No sign of a safety car so far. I bet the soft runners would love a safety car during this race because their softs have started to fade away. And MDJ is desperately trying to stay in DRS range of Hazara, but this time he's dropped out of it. It's 1.2 now between himself and the AlphaTauri. So it looks like the momentum and pendulum has swung towards Hazara's race so far. But what could ruin it? It may be a safety car. But it could go probably from hards to mediums, depending if the mediums can make it towards the end. If an early safety car does appear. Beremy is sliding to the exit of turn 14 there, so it looks like he's struggling on those soft compound tyres. That's quite an odd strategy, you know, going from softs. Is it soft to medium? I think it'll be soft to medium for those guys. Maybe Hazara was going from hards to softs. But looks like Beremy. MDJ is in the pit lane then to get rid of those soft compound tyres. Beremy has opted to stay out there on the old softs. There's Mercedes in the background. That's Glock in the softs in the pit lane too to get rid of his softs. Let's see what tyres he will switch to. Medium, so it's soft to medium the strategy. But Xenum's crashed at the exit of Stavolo. And a safety car has been deployed. What a possible worst timing for MDJ, who's just made a pit stop. And now he won't be able to take the lead of the race because of the delta he has. If he only said that one lap later, it would have helped him. But someone tell Rogue Smith that he can't overtake with a safety car. And that's on his teammate too. Beremy is played into his hands. He can get off the soft compound tyres and go on the mediums. What's the deficit in the pit lane loss and the delta too? Is it about over 20 seconds? It must be for sure. So will Beremy get ahead of MDJ? Because these guys have got to adhere to a delta under a safety car, and Beremy might have a chance of getting ahead of MDJ. There he is, going into Ravage, and Beremy... Oh, I don't think he will. Yeah, no way. I forget how big the gap was at the first part of the race too, so I don't think he will. So Xenum had a great qualifying in the sprint. He dropped unfortunately outside the top 10. He fell down to 17th. 12 seconds under the safety car. So Beremy and MDJ, is that 12 seconds? Maybe, you know, maybe get him. And Xenum has joined the party then. So, Xenum, what happened? Did you crash out of Stabilo?
Yeah, hello, my mate. It's not intentional at all. My setup was, yeah. I'm not, I hate this track.
No, mate,
So
it was intentional, wasn't it, to help your teammate? Beverly's on the softs.
yeah,
No.
but Remy was at soft. He didn't get to take over the car before the race started, so the AI set him on soft. So he was grateful that I I got him the safety car now, and I should tell you all that OVR has now taken the speed up from lean to standard fuel. So beware.
Well, thank you very much for joining me, parts, mate. Unlucky for your race, and good luck for the next race too.
Yeah, and thank you for the good job, Indigo, and good luck to everybody with the last part of the race. And good night.
Good night, mate. So Hazara's gone from hards to mediums, so now they're essentially on the same strategy. And Bear Rebby, sorry about that. Just a random cough. I thought I got rid of my cough, but it's still there after months of coughing, so I'm still ill, unfortunately. But yeah, Bear Rebby didn't get ahead of MDJ. He just rejoined behind, so the gap was too big. Maybe if he stayed in that DRS train earlier on, what happened from P3 downwards, because the gap was quite big. They were all in that big DRS zone. You can see the marshal there on the grass waving the yellow flag by himself. But Smoke says Renault 2008 Singapore. I think it was a joke, really. I don't think he really done it on purpose, but yeah, it's a shame there for Xenom, who qualified great at the sprint race in P6, then dropped into P17, and now he's out of the Belgian Grand Prix. Xenom's definitely improved. Yeah, I know it was a joke, Spoke. I know it was a joke, but Xenom's definitely improved his pace over the last few races, because I remember him finishing about 15th, 16th, 17th, maybe 14th last season. He's been getting himself inside the top 10 recently. But yeah, the Belgian Grand Prix is a difficult track. It's so easy to lose it in many places. And now we've got 2 retirements in this race. So Martin's on the hard compound tyres. He started in the mediums. So this is disadvantaged Martin, unfortunately, because the rest of the guys are on the medium compound tyres. The mediums can go towards the end. The tyre life won't be too bad. But unfortunately, it put Martin at a disadvantage, because his options were A, go on the soft compound tyre, or B, go on the hards. But unfortunately, he couldn't go on the softs, because I think they'll die towards the end of the Grand Prix. We saw Bear Remy and MDJ start to struggle after 8 laps on those soft compound tyres. So yeah, it's a massive shame, really. Safety cars came at the worst time for him. It's brought Glock back into play, and Laser, he's down in P16 now. So I wonder if Laser changed his wing under the first safety car. Could someone clarify if Laser had front wing damage or not? But I do feel bad for Martin, because the safety car came at the worst possible time for him. He has to go the hard compound tyres now. It's great for Glock. It brings the gap down. He's able to catch up to the field. And what can he do from P19 on the grid in the sprint, currently in 7th place? Azara went from hards to mediums, whereas 2nd and 4th went from hards to mediums to softs, or soft to mediums, sorry. So they're on the same strategy now, effectively, except MDJ's tyres are 1 lap older, which shouldn't affect him too much, but we'll see. Azara's had some astonishing pace around here in Belgium. Can he keep it up? Has he brought MDJ back into place though, because he had to do the soft to medium strategy, whereas Hazara could have done the hards to softs if he wanted to. We'll see how the trajectory in this race changes. Rogue Smithy has gone on the soft compound tyres then, so I think, like in Hungary, that might be a bit of a stretch to go towards the end of the Grand Prix. We'll see. This safety car might help him reduce the tyre life towards the end, but he did this back at the Hungarian Grand Prix too, where he went on the soft compound tyres with about 14-15 laps to go. But obviously he crashed out during the race, so we wouldn't have known if he could make it to the end or not. But MDJ complained about tyre wear dropping off dramatically even before the race ended, with 4 or 5 laps to go. So we'll see if that soft compound tyre can hold it towards the end. Can he take those tyres towards the end? Because you don't want to do a 2-stop around here, or anywhere really, to be honest with you. It's mostly a 1-stop if it goes smooth sailing. Maybe another safety car later on towards the Grand Prix can change things up. Did that say safety car come in? I was looking down at my phone to look at the results as well from last season. MDJ still in P2. He finished P2 last season, and Harry Kane's in P3. He finished P3 last season too in Belgium. So I think the safety car is coming in towards the end of this lap, and we can get racing once again. Can MDJ put the pressure and challenge on towards Hazara? Hazara is a tough driver to beat, but every driver can make mistakes, and every driver is beatable. We'll see if MDJ could try and overtake Hazara for the win. This is the one race where he was wishing that Hazara wouldn't turn up, because MDJ the past few races hasn't had the upper hand, but now he has. Hazara has to join, doesn't he? As you can see, taking a wide angle and gets a good restart. He's actually left MDJ in the clutches of Harry Kane. So here we are down into turn 1. Then Harry Kane's not close enough to make a move into 1, but is anybody else threatened to make lunges in the first corner? They're all so close behind each other but not able to make a lunge. What about Laser down there in P16? As you can see, Ty Kern is ahead of Alex Haug. He puts himself up into P14, but this should be interesting. Down the Camel Straight into Lacombe. And look at MDJ using a lot of ERS now to try and overtake Hazara. He takes the lead of the Grand Prix and puts himself in first place. Great move indeed from MDJ. Can he control the race from here? He knows he's on the same tyres as Hazara, so try and keep him in second or keep him in the DRS range. Here comes Glock on Martin. It should be an easy move, being on the medium compound tyres. He puts himself up into P6, does the Mercedes. Where can Glock finish towards the end of this race? He's had a fantastic race so far, unlike last season in Belgium. He also qualified 17th at last season in Belgium, did Glock, I think. And now he's all over the back of Samit for P5. But MDJ now, can he control this race? Can he keep Hazara at bay? Or try and keep him in the DRS range? That's all you got to do, because Hazara will be putting pressure on MDJ. But as long as MDJ can keep Hazara in his DRS range or keep him under a second, as Harry Kane is right behind Hazara, so looking very feisty too and racy. It's brought these guys back together, and actually Harry Kane's getting a lot on Hazara. And he doesn't overtake him down the inside. He had a miserable race at the Hungarian Grand Prix. He spun early stages at the Hungarian Grand Prix at turn 8, I believe it was. Rogue Smithy is up into P9, capitalising on those soft compound tyres. Next target is AJ in front of him, as we head up to lap 14 out of 22 now, with about 8 laps left to go in this race. Samid so close on the back of Beremi. Had a twitch out of turn 1, but luckily not in a spin. Tried to look for an opening on the Aston Martin driver. It's out. This safety car's also helped Beremi too. But at the top of the hill, I saw MDJ cut the track, or close to. Evidently, it looks like the Williams has got some decent straight line speed, like the real life Williams, with Alex Albon keeping the train behind him. Rogue Smithy's into P8 ahead of AJ. Next target is Martin. Langfeld has overtaken AJ now. AJ must have had a problem at the corner there, because he's quite slow on the exit, and he's dropped quite far behind Langfeld and Rogue Smithy despite being overtaken by them. Martin, can he hold on the hard compound tyres? Will the pendulum swing towards his way later on? Do you know what? He's still in this DRS range, you know, so as long as he can stay in this DRS range towards Glock, it might pay dividends for him later on. But the tyre life won't be a big difference towards the end, because the mediums can still hold on, especially towards the end of the Grand Prix. But look at Glock then. Simon started to struggle in the final chicane, and now he's got Glock on his heels right behind. JDM picks up another 3-second tyre penalty, but look, Glock is looking racy. He finished P7, I believe it was, last season in Belgium. He wasn't exactly in this fight. Yeah, it was P7. I just guessed it. I wasn't even looking at the race results. I looked at it afterwards just to clarify. But as we head down the bus stop chicane, the top. Oh, look at that, Samid getting all out of shape. I think this is the problem that Samid had last season as well. He kept locking up the rear brakes, and here he is under pressure from Glock. DRS has been enabled. Down the inside goes Hazara into turn 1 then. I thought he would have waited for the DRS on the next straight, but he bails out. He actually went for it, but has to stay behind the Williams driver until he gets DRS. Look at the amount of ERS he's got in his disposal. whereas MDJ is on 31%. So MDJ might well consider saving the ERS now for the stage of the Grand Prix, because if he doesn't and he's in P1, he'll be exposed towards the end. But look at this then. MDJ defending this. Hazara goes around the outside. Great move around the outside of MDJ. And then Alfa Romeo Ramovaj has had some sort of issue. That is a weird spin. Can't be a spin, surely. But look at Glock up the inside of Beremy. Wow, what an incredible move, Glock, from P20 to P4. I'll talk about the sprint race as well. P20 the sprint to finish in P9 in the feature. And now up to P4. He's on an absolute flyer, is Glock, hunted down Hurricane. I wasn't expecting Glock to be in this position. Do you know what? If you want my full honesty, I was expecting Glock to get a bit mad during the sprint race and the feature race as well to try and make his way through, because we've seen how he is. That's obviously no offence to him, but it's just honesty. We've seen how he is back in the last few races, where he's a bit impatient, he makes a few mistakes now and then, but he's done a good job so far. I don't want to jinx him either, but he's progressed through this field very rapidly indeed. Currently in P4, could be on for a podium, because if he finishes in P3, I think that's my driver of the day for sure. But he's still under pressure from Beremy behind him. He's quite low on ERS, he had to be, because he's fighting with the likes of Martin and Samir too. MDJ looked like in the bust of chicane he was almost out of DRS range, but it's very pivotal for him to stay in this DRS range. He can't afford to let Hazara go. He has to stay in the DRS range no matter what. But the problem is he's quite low on ERS too, so look at the ERS Hazara's got. His ERS management has been so very sufficient throughout this race. Ramovaj has retired in the pit lane. Beremy is fighting back with Glock. We can see that Glock is derating. Oh, bit of contact too, and Glock has to go off the road. Might pick himself up a 3-second time penalty, which he doesn't do, so be very careful with that. But Beremy is up into P5. You can see Glock is not very happy. It all happened so quickly, but they're outside the DRS range now of the rest of them. Harry Kane, sorry, looks very close in the back of MDJ. Actually, MDJ now is 1 second away from Hazara. Hazara is driving a beautiful race as well. A Red Bull of Alex Haug has spun out of P1. But the way Hazara has been driving, it's been absolutely amazing despite being under pressure in DRS. Beremy is just trying to get himself back in DRS range. He's using the ERS to try and get himself back in the DRS range. But has he... sorry about that. Has he done it this lap? No, he hasn't. And Glock is now out of DRS range. You can see he's quite low on ERS as well, for good measure. So he might be under pressure from Samir. They might be dropping backwards now as he progresses forwards, early stages. Rogue Smithy is still in P8. You know what? Respect to Martin, you know. He's down in P7 on the hard compound tyres, and he's doing a great job to stick in this DRS range of other people. And we might see Harry Kane overtake MDJ. Here we are on the straight. MDJ is derating. Here's Harry Kane. Will he try and go up the inside? No, he can't, because MDJ has the inside line covered. But Samir has overtaken Glock. It's up into P5 ahead of the Mercedes. Laser is up into P12 ahead of Makiet too. But the main mission for MDJ is trying to take as many points away. I think the race win could be out of hands, judging by Hazara's great pace. He's a top tier driver as Hazara. If you don't know, he's one of the highest esports teams out there, which is ETA. But MDJ will have to consider P2. Try and focus on the guys behind maybe, because he's started to use a lot of ERS. He's outside the 1 second range of DRS, and Harry Kane constantly putting pressure on the Dutchman ahead of him. So now MDJ is fully outside the 1 second range of DRS. I think his target now is Harry Kane and Beremy. Just focus on those two behind. I think Hazara is a bit too much of a stretch to handle. Good effort there from MDJ trying to fight back, but he's used a lot of ERS and he'll be vulnerable at latter stages, because look at the ERS Harry Kane has. 60% almost, so he might get him on the camel straight. However though, MDJ is still finding ways to get back into the DRS range of Hazara. And now Langfell is on the back of Rogue Smithy too. So Rogue Smithy on those soft compound tyres hasn't really progressed forwards. I think he's gained about 2 places. That's it. Still in P8 is the Williams driver. He's under pressure from the Ferrari, but Harry Kane is about to make an overtake on MDJ. MDJ does not have the DRS on the Williams, and Harry Kane puts his Red Bull into P2. Do you know what? I'm thinking that Hazara could be running high wings, you know. It tends to pull away in the corners, but it's quite obvious what I'm saying, because obviously in the straight they've got DRS, but they seem to have a massive overspeed on the straight as well. You can see him absolutely flying through these corners. Look at the way he takes the corners as well. He just flicks the car in at wide angles. He's just able to carry the speed, but he did have to bail out the throttle there into P1. The way he's driving that car is absolutely amazing as well. Hitting the apexes too through the value chicane. Oh, he almost lost it as well at the exit. But he's somehow keeping Harry Kane at bay. 1.1 now is the gap between himself and the Norwegian driver. Rogue Smithy picks up a 3-second time penalty, but look at that. Harry Kane is back in the DRS range, so I think Hazara is running a higher wing setup in comparison towards MDJ and Harry Kane. Samid and Glock are still in this fight, and Marty's dropped outside the 1-second range of DRS towards Glock, but Rogue Smithy is under pressure from Langfell right behind. In the background, Glock out of shape in the final corner, so cost himself a few tenths. You know what, Harry Kane could be in a good shot to lead this Grand Prix as well, using the ERS to his advantage now. Alex Howe picks up a 3-second time penalty. What can Harry Kane do on the straight? Will he get closer and closer towards Hazara? He's so close at the end of that straight, but not close enough, as actually MDJ, his podium chances might be slipping away. So we've got to be very careful. We've got to watch out for the Aston Martin of Beremy, who's driven a great race so far, and Rogue Smithy going absolutely rogue in this race, picking up penalties. He's been involved in a few collisions so far during this race, but the soft compound tyres looks like they're starting to fade away for him. And now he's being under pressure from the guys behind. He might find himself outside the top 10. Come on, Rogue Smithy, what are you doing, mate? 5-second time penalty, corner cutting, gained 1 place. So he overtook off the track and didn't give the place back. He just cost himself crucial points. You got to remember as well that Rogue Smithy, he's in a championship fight. Not in terms of drivers, but in terms of constructors as well. He's got to work with his teammate. He's got to help. He's got to help his teammate bring back the points as well. Because Williams, I think, 4th in the championship or something like that. Let's have a look. They're actually further. No, is that last? That's they're actually 7th in the championship, so they're further down than I expected. But look at Harry Kane then, so close behind Hazara. MDJ is keeping a watchful eye on Beremy right behind him too. Hazara, in his last few laps of this Grand Prix, could find himself under pressure from Harry Kane, who's driven a good race too. Can Harry Kane try and overtake Hazara in the last few laps of this Grand Prix? These two are good friends as well. And here's Beremy, could be a Norwegian 1-2-3 you know. And here we are, Beremy has overtaken Harry Kane, MDJ. And Harry Kane is so close behind Hazara. Glock is ahead of Samid. He puts himself up into P5. And Rogue Smithy's been overtaken by AJ. Oh, what was that? What was that? But still, that was a great move. Do you know what? No, it's not a great move because it's in the wall. Oops. There we go. But I say, that was a late lunge there from Rogue Smithy. But he turned it into an overtake. A late overtake. Thought he was going to go straight to the back of Langfell or AJ in that matter, but still kept it under control. But the exit, just those soft compound tyres were just dead. The battle for Harry Kane and Hazara for the lead is intensifying. Then who will win this Belgian Grand Prix and who will get the last podium spot? Will it be Beremy or MDJ? Could it be Glock? Because Glock is a DRS range of MDJ too, still showing some decent pace in that Mercedes. Could be a showdown last lap between Hurricane and Hazara. Will Hurricane wait for the last lap, or will he go through on lap 21? In the final two corners of the bus stop chicane we go. First of the two DRS zones. He'll wait for it, of course. Will he try and save EOS for the last lap, Hurricane? We know he's quite sufficient at saving EOS. So is Hazara as well. Look at the amount of EOS he's got in his disposal. He might have to drain it later on in this race. But Williams are 7th in the championship, so they're quite far behind as well. Mercedes lead the championship ahead of McLaren with Alfa Romeo in P3. But here is Hurricane. He takes the lead of this Grand Prix. Now to go down to the last lap of the Grand Prix too. Hazara has got to use all of his battery if he wants to win this race. And MDJ still can't get past Beremy. He remains in P4 for the time being then. So what's going to happen down in the last lap? Evidently, it looks like Hazara's got some more, well, has got a lot more downforce than Hurricane in the corners. But what can Hurricane do? Can he defend from the charging Hazara, who's been very strong ever since qualifying? Hazara won the sprint, but can he win the feature race? And we've got more yellow flags down there out the exit of Lecom at the top of the hill. Looks like it was a Haas of Ty Kern, unfortunately. And now Rogues with his spun at the exit of before No Name at the exit of Ravage. He's got no full big, obviously. Don't want to pit because there's no point now. But anyways, Hazard is so close behind Hurricane. Will there be any DRS games, I wonder, going down towards the com? I thought Hurricane will invite Hazard to go up the inside, but no, Hazard is too smart for that one. But will there be any DRS gains between these drivers? Will Hurricane slow down to allow Hazara to pass and get the DRS range for himself? As we head down into turn 1. Look at the top 4 in close contention. They're all backing off. While Hurricane's trying to back them up to make sure that he try and let Hazara through to get the DRS, but that's not going to happen. As we go up through Eau Rouge. Oh, look at that! A big stop there. Luckily not in a spin. Here we are then, the EOS is being drained. Can Hazara overtake Hurricane going down into the Lecom? It's going to be so close, and Hazara retakes the lead of the Grand Prix, but sliding through the corners. But he maintains the lead and takes P1 away from Hurricane. That's the problem, being first in the DRS train, unfortunately. That's going to happen, but yeah, you can't help it whatsoever, can you? But it's just a shame there for Hurricane. And barely holding on for dear life because he's got MDJ right behind him too. So the battle for P3 is not over yet between these two. Will it be a Norwegian 1-2-3? Or will MDJ split them up? I don't think Hurricane has anything left to respond with because Hazara's still got a lot of EOS in his disposal to use. He's dropped Hurricane from 1.1 now. But all eyes the battle for P3. Will MDJ get Beremy down as the bus stop chicane? He could have to use all of his battery or what's left of it. As the derated Hurricane could be under pressure from Beremy right behind him too. All eyes on MDJ. Will he send him up to the inside? How desperate is he for a podium? He knows the championship fight. Will he go up the inside? No, he can't do so on this occasion, unfortunately for him. But Hazara will come across the line to win the Belgian Grand Prix ahead of Hurricane. Beremy in P3 with MDJ spinning in P4. Glock finishes in P5 from P20 in the sprint. Salmon in 6th place ahead of Martin. AJ in 8th ahead of Langfell. Atlas in P10. Where did he start actually? P18. Great drive there from Atlas. I think he retired in the sprint race. But that was a phenomenal race. Unfortunately, MDJ, who started 2nd place, fell down to 4th. It's a Norwegian 1-2-3. Congrats to the boys from Norway. So it looks like Mackie then, who was in P3 at the start of this race in the championship, will fall down the order to probably P5. MDJ and Hurricane and probably Martin will overtake him. So unfortunately for Mackie, who was in P3, will fall down the order in the championship standings. MDJ might probably get P2 depending where Glock finished in the end, just right behind him. So I think Glock maintains P2 for the championship. But as we move on to Monza, join us then. It's been a thrilling race and maximum points for the AlphaTauri of Hazara. Great driving indeed, fully deserved victory for him. And join us back for the Monza Grand Prix at 7:30 next week on Tuesday. See you all there. Have a great rest of the evening. I will see you all next Tuesday.